Well, hi there. I'm Cody with Idaho Medical Academy. If you're watching this video, it's because you want to learn how to become an EMT, but you don't know where to start. You've come to the right place. Before we talk about how to become an EMT, let's talk about what an EMT does. An EMT is an emergency medical technician, typically responding to emergency calls, whether that be on an ambulance or a fire department. There's also EMTs that work in hospitals, local medical clinics, and even event services. In the EMS world, there's about 4 different certifications that are recognized. EMRs, or Emergency Medical Responders, Basic EMTs, Advanced EMTs, and Paramedics. Each certification, the scope of practice is a little different. One thing that draws people to the EMS world is the autonomy that providers have, and which comes with your scope of practice or standing written orders. The scope of practice between an EMT and a paramedic are very different. An EMT might be able to give 5 to 6 medications, where a paramedic could give up to 40 medications. And this is also dependent on the area you work in or the state you live in. Some areas are more conservative, some areas are more progressive. So depending on where you live or where you work, your scope could be much smaller or much larger. The training you receive and the skills that you're able to perform is all based on your certification level. The more certifications you have or the more certifications you obtain, the more your scope of practice is going to expand. An EMT Basic is responsible for CPR, basic airway management, and basic administration of medications. An EMT Advanced can do all that, plus IVs, and plus some more advanced airway procedures. A paramedic is going to be able to do a lot more of medication administration, some other skills, and even intubation. Of course, with all these certifications, your training is going to have to be expanded as well. An EMT Basic course will last anywhere between 3 to 4 months, and you're typically going to have to do maybe a ride-along or a clinical in the ER or on an ambulance or even on a fire engine. An EMT Advanced is going to have that basic certification and go to school for about another 3 months. A paramedic is going to last about 1.5 years of school plus your EMT Basic certification, and you're going to have to do about 250 hours of an internship plus 500 hours on an ambulance or on a fire engine. You do not have to become an EMT Advanced to become a paramedic. So we've talked about what an EMT is. What does an EMT do? Well, I can talk a little bit about my experience of working for a 911 ambulance for the past 5 years. Keep in mind most departments are different, but I'd say generally they're all pretty similar. So it's your first day on the job, and you're wondering, what do I need to do? Well, typically, you and the crew are going to get to your rig. First thing we're going to do is do a rig check. You got to make sure your ambulance or your fire engine has everything it needs to take on any call you're going to get. On an ambulance, you're going to make sure all the medications are there and in date. You have all your IV supplies. You have whatever the medic needs. You want to make sure all your lights and sirens are working. You also want to make sure that the crew before you didn't leave you with an empty tank of gas. Typically, once your rig check is done, you got to start your daily duties, which includes sweeping, vacuuming, cleaning off the counters, getting your captain some coffee. As a probationary firefighter, you're expected to take on most of the chores and most of the rig check yourself. So always keep in mind, happy captain, happy life. So once our daily duties or daily chores are done, the department kind of leaves it up to you what you're going to do with your day as long as you're on call and ready to take any emergency call that comes through. A lot of EMTs are taking college courses or studying to be a paramedic. Some EMTs or paramedics are watching movies or even doing their hobbies like sewing or knitting. Of course, this is all dependent on your call volume. I've had shifts where I've ran 1 to 2 calls in 24 hours. I've had shifts where I've had 17 calls in 24 hours. Most EMTs are working either a 12-hour or a 24-hour shift. Typically, if you're on a 12-hour car, you're probably not allowed to sleep because that's probably a busy station. 24-hour car, you probably have sleeping quarters and you are able to go to sleep. You just have to be ready for when a call comes in. Most fire departments are on a 48-hour schedule, so getting a nap in is important, but of course that's up to your captain. So you've made it this far into the video and you're thinking, this sounds like the career for me. Your next step should be finding an EMT program that you can set up with. There's plenty of options, whether it be a local college or a private EMT course. Here at Idaho Medical Academy, we do provide traditional in-person classes. For those of you who aren't local, we also offer an online self-paced program that you can check out at idahomedicalacademy.com. Sign up for the class, start taking the class, pass the class. Once you've passed the class, you are now eligible to take the NREMT exam. This will be outside of your program. You'll have to find a testing center, schedule it on your own time, and take the test. Once you pass that test, you are now NREMT certified, and this serves as your passport. You can work in just about any state in the U.S. with your NREMT. Say you're in Idaho and you want to go ski and shred some fresh POW in Utah, that NREMT certification will allow you to go work in Utah. Most states are different, but here in Idaho, you have to be licensed to practice. There's no additional tests or anything you need to take. You just have to be affiliated with a department, whether it be volunteer, whether it be part-time or full-time. Being affiliated is going to give you that license to practice in the state of Idaho. Other states could vary. So make sure you look into the requirements of each state. Well, hopefully that basically gives you some basic information on how to become an EMT basic. If you have any other questions, please give us a call or check out our website, idahomedicalacademy.com. The current courses we're offering are EMT Basic, EMT Advanced, and CPR courses. We're also offering healthcare courses with phlebotomy and medical assisting. Thanks for watching, you guys. See you in the field.